Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to a brand new live. My microphone's on. But anyways, today is day number 3 of our sourdough bake-a-thon. Muffins. Yeah, that's what we're about to make. Speaking of, I forgot one ingredient. So this is our sourdough bake-a-thon. It's usually for 7 days. However, for the month of October and September, maybe November, also December, we might only do 5 days. But either way, I think September is really all about uh it's really all about sweet potato. Listen, it's too early. My brain is not functioning. It's been a long day. So, yesterday we made sweet potato cheddar biscuits, delicious. The day before we made sweet potato pancakes, all with sourdough. So that's the whole mission of these bake-a-thons, is for me to learn how to make different things with my sourdough discard. Okay, and we are about to start. So this is Fred Jr. and this is my discard. He is usually kept in the fridge, and he was in the fridge, and I took him out. He's not at room temperature. It's still a bit cold, but as you can see, it's full of life. If you can see that, there's a lot of bubbles happening. When you look around the container, you can see all life. These are all bubbles. So it's pretty active in here, which for me is a good thing. I never think it's a bad thing that it's active. It just means that if anything happens to my master sourdough, I can create a secondary batch. Okay, so we're going to start, and we are going to start with about 120 grams. Let me just double check because I'm not sure about this recipe. Usually, I'm confident in certain recipes. This one, I'm not sure. I'm very iffy on this one. But we are going to start with 120 discard. Originally, I wanted to put like 150, but I don't know if that was going to work. This is too big. So we're going to start with 120. We're just going to use it. That's about half cup of discard. So 120 grams. I just have to make sure it's the right thing. I don't even know. It should be you know what? I'm going to do 150 because something about this doesn't seem right. We're going to wing it. But in a good way. Okay. So that's 175. I'm going to take out some. We do just need, I think 150 would be the sweet number. So we're going to do 150 grams. And everything else is going to be true to the recipe that I kind of created in my head. Yeah. That's what this is all about. I just look at it and see if it works. And then, you know, we figure it out. We're just experimenting here. And most of the time, like 90% of the time, it actually comes out. No issues. Okay, so that's 150 grams of discard. And we're going to add our sugar, our milk, our egg to it. I like mixing all the wet ingredients plus the sugar so that the sugar can actually dissolve. I don't want sugar crystals throughout my product. That's why I do it this way. But we are going to measure everything because something about this recipe might not be right. But it's okay. We got it. So it's 150 grams of discard. We are going to add sugar. So I originally had 150 grams of sugar. And I mixed brown and white sugar because I like mixing brown and white sugar together because it gives the product a nice flavor. The crumb structure is still tender, but there's also a nice little crunch on top, and that comes from the white sugar. But it's mixed. It's not mixed. It is what it is. Okay, So for the sugar, we're going to add 120 grams. This is the brown sugar you should use. It's the light brown sugar. Do not use the darker one because you might get a product that you're not happy with. So it's going to be about 120 grams of sugar. Now, I am using a mixture of brown and white sugar. You can split it 50-50. That's what I usually do. Or you can do 20 grams white sugar and the rest brown sugar. You can break it up however you choose to. This is just what I like doing. I like mixing brown and white together because the white sugar to me is really sweet. So the end product might be too sweet for what I'm looking for. And usually the brown sugar cuts it down and it's just a nice mellow taste. That's what I find. But you can use whatever sugar you want to use. It's up to you. So we've added the sugar and we have melted butter. So this is going to be 60 grams of melted butter, or it's about a quarter cup. Now, if you don't like butter, you don't want to use butter, you can use a neutral oil. You can use coconut oil. You can use that. If you have vegan butter, you can use that as well. But I'm using butter, and it's the same ratio. So I'm just going to add my butter into this. So it's going to be 60 grams of melted butter, and this is salted butter. I always use salted butter, by the way. So I'm just going to mix this together just to see what consistency we have to start. It will give off a smell, like a tangy, sweet smell. And then you added butter, so it's also going to give you a buttery smell, but you're going to get the tang from the sourdough discard. And that's something that you're looking for. So right now, this is just the consistency with the discard, the sugar, and the butter. I'm looking at it because I may not want to add the milk as yet. Reason being, my sweet potato has moisture. So I want to make sure I see how much moisture it adds before I add the milk. I don't know. It's weird. I got to do it that way. So for the sweet potato, it's going to be 150 grams. Now, as with yesterday and the day before, I baked my potatoes. However, you can boil them. I just find baking them, it releases more of the sugar in the sweet potato. And I'm looking for the sweetness from the sweet potato, like the yam, whatever you call it. But these are just regular American sweet potatoes. So we need about 150 grams. So sometimes you may not need a whole sweet potato. You may need just a small one, and it will give you the right amount. But you also have to take into account that there's moisture in this. So that's why I'm adding my liquid later. So that gave me 140 grams. I'm just going to cut this one so that I can just get that little bit extra. And if you are watching, don't forget to vote. You get to see what we make tomorrow. We come back again for another episode of the Bake-a-thon. And when you select your sweet potato, make sure they're nice and yellow. Because I've been disappointed before. I really have been. I'm not trying to be disappointed anymore with sweet potatoes. Okay, so that's 150 grams of sweet potato. And we're just going to mash that. I don't necessarily want chunks in my muffins. But if you want chunks, you can just leave it a bit chunky. I think it's personal preference. Like you can mash some and then leave some chunked. It's really a personal preference, honestly. I just don't want no chunks. When I do a loaf, when I make the loaf cake, then I'll do some chunks in it with some nuts. But you just mash it. It also releases a lot of water. So that's why I just want to gauge to see just how liquidy the batter is before I add my milk. Because we still have to add the eggs. And I can add the egg. It's only one egg. Typically, some of my muffin recipes have 2 eggs. This one has 1. Why are you doing this? We're about to see if this works. Because this one's a true experiment. I mean, they all are. But this one, I'm so conflicted with. I started out with one recipe. And then halfway through, I'm like, no, that doesn't look right. So, also, if you crack your eggs and a shell gets into it, all you have to do is wet the tip of your finger and you'll be able to release the shell. Like, you'll be able to get it out. Okay, that's 1 egg. And I'm sorry, my brain is all over the place, so bear with me. I'll get it together. Ooh, do you see how the butter just soaked up this discard? Yeah. We're going to add the egg. And we're also going to add the sweet potato. I want to say think sweet potato pie, essentially. But we don't need the batter to be too runny because we're making muffins. And I love the color change that happens. This might have some chunks because not all of it was mashed properly. But it's smelling, the smell is coming together, it's smelling amazing. Even though we're just starting and it's not baked. But that's okay. I'm super excited. I love sweet potatoes, so any chance I get to make a sweet potato anything. And these are good for breakfast. Well, they will be good for breakfast. Okay, you can see the sweet potato chunks. If you want the chunks, you can leave it. If not, it's fine. And this is literally one of the only times that I can actually play around with the batter, because once I put the flour in to bake it, that's it. Okay, so that is the liquid. I didn't add the milk yet. I'm still holding off on the milk. So for the flour, we're going to add 200 grams, and it's going to be all-purpose flour. I don't use bread flour or anything of the sorts. Nothing like that with my sourdough. It is just bread flour. All-purpose flour. I'm talking about bread flour. My goodness. Okay. We are also going to add baking soda, because in my experience, without the baking soda, they're going to be a little on the dense side. And not sourdough. Sweet potato adds a heaviness to anything that it makes. So you want it to be nice and airy. The baking soda will react with the sourdough, so it will actually just give it a nice boost, which is what I'm looking for. So it's going to be ½ teaspoon. And then we're going to add some spices. I want to add some ginger If you want to use fresh ginger, you should put it in with the liquid. So just grate it and put it in. It'll be perfect. I don't have fresh ginger, which is why I'm using dried spices. So I'm going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of the ginger. I'm going to add about an 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. But this is where you experiment with the type of spices that you like and that you want. We're also going to add cinnamon. You can use fresh, you can use dried. This is also going to be about 1/2 teaspoon. Reason being, you don't want to add too much because it'll change the consistency of the batter. Not the consistency, but like the color. It'll get a lot darker. I don't necessarily want it to be dark. I want it to be a nice, vibrant, orangey looking color. And then we're going to add some nutmeg. So I'm going to be using some fresh nutmeg. That's also about a 1/4 teaspoon. Not a lot, just enough. Nice flavor. You got the warm spices. If you want to try cardamom, you can add that. But this is where you just experiment with the different spices. These are just my regular spices that I'm using that you want to have. So we're just going to mix this in. I'm also going to add salt. I'm going to add it to the flour. And that is going to be about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Because we already have the sugar, we have the butter, the sweet potato to discard. I'm just making sure I haven't missed an ingredient because I'm known to miss an ingredient or two, okay? Ain't no shame. I'm known. Okay, so it's going to be about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Yes, I am using salted butter, but the salt just rounds out the flavor. Because there's nothing worse than eating a muffin that you know should taste amazing, but you don't get all the flavors because there's no salt in the butter. So if you don't like salt, just find your alternative. What that is, I really don't know because I haven't actually looked for an alternative to salt. But if you know what it is, you can use it. All right. So we're good. This is what the flour is looking like. It's not dark. It didn't really change color. But once it hits the wet ingredients, we know it is going to, darken up just a little. That's when you'll see if you put too much spice. But it has chunks, and I don't really like chunks. I don't want chunks, but that's okay. We're also going to add raisins. This is a personal preference, okay? If you don't like raisins, you don't have to use raisins. You can add nuts. I'm going to add about 80 grams of raisins. Oh, that's 100. You know what? 100 grams looks better than 80. Yeah. So between 80 and 100 grams, you can use any type of raisins. Preferably soak them before, just so that they plump up. That's a trick that you can do. Am I soaking these before? No. So we're going to see how it turns out. But usually, you just have to rehydrate them. Raisins are dried and shriveled. So if you just soak them in some milk or some water and then drain the water, you can use them. That's fine. So now we're just going to mix this up. We're going to add our milk because my batter does look a little on the thick side. And we don't want it too runny, and we also don't want it too thick. So it's going to be about 100 grams of milk. Now, do I know if this is going to work? No. But I'm excited. Okay, so it's going to be about 100 grams. I'm using canned milk diluted with a little bit of water. If you have bagged milk, you can use that. If you have cream, You can do maybe 30 grams of cream and the rest water to dilute it. You can do that. You can do table cream the same way. No issues there. Just use what you have. And honestly, if you only have water, you can use water. Water is not gonna make your product any less delicious. It might not be as rich, but it'll still be delicious. Okay, so I'm just doing a check that we have everything here. There's going to be chunks of sweet potato. Not a fan, but it's okay because then, hey, it's a sweet potato muffin. So you'll have sweet potato bites throughout. So I'm just doing an ingredient check just to make sure I've added everything and it looks as though that I have. So this is the consistency of your batter before you actually add your flour. This is going to be the tricky part, but it's okay. So we're going to add the flour. I'm going to just toss this in a little bit of flour. Okay, so for the mixing, you just want to mix until it's combined. I don't know, my brain isn't working today, but it's okay. But you just mix until it's combined. You just want it to be moist. So when you get to this point, this is what you see right here. This is when you can add your raisins or nuts if you're using nuts, or chocolate chips. You can try using white chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips even. It would be good. You just want it to be moist, just so that all the flour is absorbed into the liquid. No over mixing, because once you over mix it, it's going to be tough no matter what, no matter how delicious the muffins are going to be. You don't want it to be tough, because when it's tough, it's dry, and when it's dry, it's hard, and we don't like hard muffins around here. So just enough to coat everything and to make sure all the flour is absorbed, because you do still have flour pockets. That's why when you eat muffins sometimes you get a little pocket of flour. One, it wasn't mixed in well enough, and two, sometimes you can't avoid it because you don't want to overmix the batter. Okay, so that looks good. So we're gonna set up our oven. This is gonna sit. No, we're not setting up the oven yet. We're gonna pan them and let them sit while I set up the oven. Okay, so we are using the mini oven, and that will allow you to actually see the entire baking process, which I'm here for. I love it. I have to do some time-lapse videos for you guys because it's just fun actually watching start to finish. So, ow, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My apologies. We're at that moment, the clumsy stage of this live stream, okay? It happens all the time. So anyways, we are going to pan these. I'm using my yellow scoop. I forgot how many ounces this is, but the red one would be too big. No, the red one is too small and the green one is too big. So we're just gonna add it like that. You get raisins and sweet potato in every scoop. If you're using nuts, I would use walnuts, even though sweet potato and pecans are usually marketed together. I would use walnuts. You can use a blend of walnuts and pecans. You can do pecans and raisins. Or you can experiment with another type of nut. like another nut that you think would taste really good with this. You can top it with a cream cheese frosting, and then it's no longer a muffin, it's more on the cupcake side of things. You could do it that way. You can drizzle it with a little bit of caramel, so you have like a dessert type muffin. There's so many ways that you can dress up these plain Janes. I like pretty simple recipes because you can spice them up with all the extras. You spice them up with the spices. Before it bakes, you could sprinkle it with some cinnamon sugar, so it has a nice brown caramelized top. These are all things that you can do just to spice up something that you may think is boring. Doesn't have to be hard. The baking part to me is the hardest because you have to make sure you get the recipe right. And then you can spice it up after. Like after you make the butter, you can definitely spice it up. Now, this recipe is supposed to make 12 muffins. However, it depends on the cavity size of your baking pan because this is 12. Right? We have 12 right here. In my mixing bowl, I should have about probably 3 more muffins to go. Just depends. 3 to 4 muffins. So it depends on your cavity size of your baking pan. These guys are on the smaller scale. So I have about 3 muffins in this, 3 to 4 muffins. So we're going to set this aside and then we are going to bake it. Now this is the true test of the recipe. And I'm here for it. This is going to be the true test. So we're going to set everything aside and set up our oven. My kitchen is on the small side, so I got to work with what I have. I hate it sometimes, but it is what it is. Okay, if you're watching the stream, don't forget to like it. Let me know that you appreciate it. You already know. Okay, so we're going to set this bad boy up. And it'll give you a bird's eye view of the actual products baking. And you get to see it, like crystal clear. Like, I love it. Okay. Just want to make sure. So we are going to preheat this. And it's going to be at about 375. And we're going to bake it anywhere between 18 to 20 minutes, roughly. So we're going to preheat that. So your view is going to be right here. You get to see everything. And I got excited, okay? I'm like a little kid in the candy store where I'm like, oh, it's doing something. I get so excited. I really do. So it's preheating. The muffins look good. The shape, as you can see, right? Nice shape. We should get a nice domed top that I like in my muffins. So if you have like tulip, oh my gosh, what are they called? Baking cups. These guys. If you have tulip ones, you will put it in, and then it's just be a pretty little flower on the inside, which is good. I think I want to sprinkle this with a little sugar on top. I think that's what I want to do. But where's my sugar? Oh, there we go. You could do a cinnamon sugar. You could do a sugar blend. Brown sugar, white sugar. White sugar is going to give you the nice crust. So I think I'm going to use white sugar. I have it right here. You can do a little cinnamon sugar, which I'm saying you can do it. I'm just going to do it so that you can see it. So I'll cinnamon sugar 1/2 and the other half, nothing. And my sugar also has vanilla in it. Once I make my vanilla extract, I just put the dried vanilla beans in my sugar and I have vanilla sugar. So you don't have to buy vanilla sugar. You just have to buy your vanilla bean to make your vanilla extract, to make your vanilla sugar. It's kind of that simple. So this is a little cinnamon sugar that we have. Not a lot, just enough to cover the tops and give you a nice crunch. So I'm just gonna show you what I'm doing. If you want it dark, you can. You want to put nuts on top, you can. That's a personal preference. But the cinnamon sugar is going to give it an added flavor punch. But we already have at least 3 spices in the batter. Plus the raisins have its own flavor. The sweet potato has its own flavor. So everything is just going to, it should combine to give you the perfect sweet potato muffin. And yesterday's biscuits, I'm telling you, that's the only way I'm going to make my biscuits now. Have you ever had a sweet potato biscuit? What? I can't wait for pumpkin season because, baby, we're going to do pumpkin biscuits. We're going to do pumpkin muffins. We're going to pretty much try everything that we did with the sweet potato. We're probably even going to make pumpkin flatbread. Like, I'm just trying to make everything possible with sourdough. Okay, so we're gonna put these babies in gourmia. Okay, we can only fit one at a time because it's so small. That's okay. Go in the center. Be nice. Why are you out here? Thank you. Okay, so it is going to be for about 18 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer at 20 minutes and just let it bake. And you got a bird's eye view of what's happening. So exciting. This is so exciting, okay? So I'm going to look at the polls. It looks like there was only one vote and it was for apple muffins. That's okay. Just vote for what you want to see. We have apple muffins, the garlic flatbread, or sweet potato cookies. I mean, cookies aren't really exciting, but it's sweet potato. Hello? I've never had a sweet potato cookie ever. So why not? But you vote for what you want to see, and we'll make it happen. I'm so excited. I really am. Because we have 2 more days left in the Sourdough Bake-a-thon, which you already know. We got to finish strong. I was thinking about doing sweet potato cinnamon rolls, which I've made before. But because of my time constraints, we're not able to do it on the live stream. So I have to actually dedicate a video just for that because they're so good. They're so good. They're really good. Okay, I'm starting to smell. It's only a couple of minutes. They look like they're starting to rise. Hopefully there's no overflow. That is my number one thing. These should actually, because the mini oven, the heat is regulated, and my big oven isn't, these should actually just rise and not spill. Usually spilling happens when, one, you overfill the actual baking cups, or there's something wrong with the heat. So it's hot and cold, you know? So One side has enough heat, the other side doesn't, and then that usually happens. So it's not regulated. But it looks like it's coming together. Maybe I should have added a little more cinnamon sugar, but it's okay. We're gonna get a nice domed top. We have raisins up in here. A caramel drizzle would be perfect for this. So like cream cheese, just a little dollop, nothing major, just a dollop with a caramel drizzle. Perfect. That's a sweet potato pie in your mouth, minus the raisins. Okay? Don't get mad. I like raisins. So you can make it however you want to make it and make it work for you. If you wanted to make this savory, take out the sugar, add some cheese, add some spices. You can even leave, by spices, I mean herbs and spices. You can leave like the ginger in. You can leave the clove in. You need to get you some savory spices. I would turn this into something to eat with some soup or a side. So instead of a cornbread for Thanksgiving, you can make a savory muffin. I know I always make sweet things, but you can turn it into a savory. Because we made sweet potato biscuits yesterday with cheddar cheese. Delicious. Okay. These guys, oh yeah. Take out the sugar because it's a lot of sugar. You take out the sugar. Maybe leave a little in just so you have a little sweetness, but you don't need it because the sweet potato is already sweet. There's that. So add some cheese, add some garlic, add a little more butter, and there's your cornbread alternative. I know people like cornbread. I don't care. I'm okay with anything that tastes delicious, but I love experimenting, so it's good. Oh, they're looking so pretty. We're going to rotate them at 10 minutes. Probably turn them straight. Just so that, it's a habit, but I like to rotate because I want to take it out just to see how it's looking and then put it back in for the last 10 minutes and it should be great. But the kitchen smells amazing. You smell the sweet potato, so it smells like sweet potato pie. If you like sweet potato pie, it smells like a muffin. It smells like something filled with butter. And I smell the spices. Ooh, I did not add vanilla. Why? Because I forgot the vanilla. You can add your vanilla extract. And I forgot the vanilla because the vanilla wasn't written on my recipe. How do I forget vanilla? You can add vanilla in there and it'll be perfect. How can I forget vanilla? I'm so mad because I always use vanilla and I'm a 1 tablespoon girl vanilla. I don't do 1 teaspoon. I always do 1 tablespoon, always. Right? But the vanilla would have taken this over the top. You can even try playing with mixed essence, almond extract, star anise. There's like so many different things that you can add into like a basic batter recipe to just make it great. I'm so mad the vanilla's not in here. But I have vanilla sugar in there, so that's a plus. But it's looking good. I'm starting to see some color. The ones in the back, like these guys right here, you're starting to get color. This little guy here looks like he didn't get enough sleep. It's getting a nice little tear in the top. I like that in my muffins. It gives me a rustic look, and it also tells me it's sourdough. Okay, I'm just saying. It expands nicely. It'll just give you a nice rustic look. But I'm excited. I'm happy. It's looking good. I'm happy. Because I'm telling you, I changed this recipe like twice. Like this is my, see, I started with this and now I end here. Because I just didn't know what was gonna work and how it was gonna work because I had to account for the cinnamon, not the cinnamon, the sweet potato, the moisture in the sweet potato and how heavy it can be. And also I find when you use too much of the discard in a product like a muffin, it's gummy. Now, they might bake beautifully, but it might be the texture might be off, right? So these are things that I'm looking for. I'm hoping that the texture is good, fingers crossed, but I really think, I don't know, they look good. They puffed up nicely. It looks like the texture is going to be nice and tender and not gummy. I know it's not going to be dense. I'm just worried about the gumminess because when I first started, my muffins were gummy. They were sticking to the bottom of the container. They were gummy. But then as we progressed, I realized what I was doing, what I needed to do, how to adjust. So there's different things that I've been learning with the sourdough. So I'm just sharing it with you because one, I'm not an expert. I'm just someone that really loves to bake and I love to actually figure out how a recipe is going to work. My chefs were annoyed at me because I would be like, I would call them like, does this work? Would this work together? How do we do this? I'm just looking for my toothpick and I'm smelling something now, so I'm gonna check. Because the one thing I don't want is for it to burn, whether on the top or on the bottom. So I look for smells. Look for smells. I smell for smell. Come on. Okay. I need to get a different thing. It's slippery. That's why you see me handling it like this. So they're not ready. We knew that. But I'm rotating because there is a smell. There is a we're almost done smell. But if you can see this, it's almost clear. Okay, you see that? Yeah. It's almost clear and clean, but there's still some moisture on the bottom in the middle. So what I find is the bottom, because it's a dome, the bottom bakes. The bottom and the sides bake first, and then it goes into a spiral and then bakes all the way up. So it's at 375. I want to, I feel like I want to turn it down to 350. However, I don't think 350 is going to be hot enough. But they're looking good. Some of them look like they had more life than others. But I'm getting the ginger. I'm getting all the different flavors, which I'm happy. I'm excited. Oh, I can't wait to try these. What? I even had the biscuits this morning. Baby, do you know how buttery and cheesy and sweet potatoey those biscuits were? I can't wait for these. I cannot. So I might turn it down. I'm smelling. It could be the pan as well. I'm just concerned that the bottom, okay, it's a true concern. I'm concerned the bottom is browning to the point where it might be a little seasoned. We're not looking for seasoned, we're looking for perfection. I really think I gotta watch it because I'm smelling it. The smell is usually what indicates when it's done or if something's burning. And it smells like, doesn't smell like it's burning, it just really smells strong. Like it's almost done and I need to keep an eye on it. We have like 7 more minutes left, but I know it's not done. You guys are browned a lot more. These are done. The back seems to be getting more color than the front. So we're gonna rotate this way. Can you stop? I'm not used to using such a small space. Okay, so I'm gonna just let the front brown, but I am gonna take it out because they are done. We don't want them to burn. We don't want them seasoned or anything of the sort. We just want them to be baked perfectly. So I'm just gonna move you here. But it's usually your smell is the first thing that will indicate to you that these muffins are complete. Because if you look at this, I think these are done. Right? We're gonna stop that. These are finished. But you're also getting a little crunchy top. I just want to make sure. See, some of them are done. Okay. This is the downside of this because, see, once your bottom starts looking like this, it's leaning towards, yeah, it's leaning towards being burnt. But the good thing is, if you leave them in the pan, which I can, they'll still cook. If you take them out of the pan, they'll still cook because the muffin is still hot, right? And you can see they all have different grades of color, which can happen with any oven. We're gonna put this in. This one is without the sugar on top. We're gonna let that bake. Temperature is gonna be 375 again, and the time, this time around, I'm gonna set it for about 18. It's probably gonna need less time than 20, but we'll see. I wanna let these cool so that I can show you what it looks like, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be cooled enough for me to cut. Because if you, oh hey, Mr. Perfection, if you cut into it while it's hot, it'll give you the false impression that it's not good, it's not cooked or anything of the sorts. You have to let it cool 100% and then you can cut it to see. So these are what the muffins are looking like. They got a nice little crunch top right here. That's from the cinnamon sugar, as you can see, right? So it is going to When you add your sugar on top before baking, that's how it's going to look, because the sugar is going to melt and it's going to crystallize, and then you'll have that end result. So if you're ever wondering when you buy muffins and you get a crunchy top like this, that's usually what happens. They add a little sugar on it before they bake so that you get the gourmet vibe. Okay. Oh, she want to complain. Let her talk. Yeah, it happens at the doctor's offices for sure. Also, if you're gonna reuse, this is just a tip. If you're gonna reuse something that just came out of the oven, just wipe. Just wipe it a little, because that oil, which is butter, will actually burn your new set of muffins. Ask me how I know. I've had it happen to me before. So you just wipe it, clean it, and you're good to go. I'm thinking we can get about 3 muffins. So we're going to try. Yeah, we're still using the mini oven. And we're going to be using the mini oven because you guys get to see the POV shot. Right? And I don't have to worry if it's going to bake or not. So we should get about, might be more. Yeah, about 3. Yeah, about 3 full muffins. We'll get. Which is good. So depending on the cavity size of your baking pan, that will determine how many muffins. This recipe is for 12 regular muffins. These are slightly smaller than my usual baking cavity. So keep that in mind. If you have mini muffin tins, like the really small ones, you can bake it in that. If you want to bake this in a loaf pan or mini loaf pans, you can. It is baking very well. Now, I want to show you the difference in something. Do you see how these are looking? They're not necessarily doming up like the first one right away. One, are you gonna embarrass mommy today? Or are you gonna be a good boy? 2, because it's sat out for the duration of the baking period, that also does something to the dough because it is sourdough, right? So that's another thing you have to actually pay attention to. It is still going to bake, but it's sourdough. So the longer you wait, sometimes the better or worse. Or worse, okay? It really just depends. These ones might have a more smooth dome top versus the one that we just baked, where it's like crinkled and crunchy. The crunchiness, not about the sugar, but because it tore when it baked. I'll show you in a sec. It all depends. This one might be really smooth, or it starts out smooth, and like this one in the back, it starts to rip. So for reference, see that rip right here? These guys didn't start out smooth. They were just rough around the edges. And this guy here, they're all nice and smooth and pretty. but they look like they're about to explode because the one in the back here is split. This one here is starting to split. So they're starting to do their thing. But when you let it rest, it gives your sourdough some time to just be a sourdough, do whatever it needs to do. And that's the beauty of it. See, I personally, I love making bread, for example, but I don't like waiting for the bread. I want to make my dough and make my bread right then and there. But with sourdough, no added yeast, no added anything, right? You have to wait. You just have to let it rest. Just let it just breathe. So we do have a little bit of baking soda in here. It gives it a nice rise. It will rise with only the sourdough starter. Discard. However, it is still going to be a little dense and it's not going to have a nice dome. It will be flat. I promise you. I've done it before. Take my word for it, okay? So we have votes coming in. Apple muffins in the lead. Someone voted for the garlic sweet potato flatbread. I'm here for whichever. Now for the muffins, are we going to go all out? Are we going to make a little topping? Have some caramel drizzle? Caramelize the apples to put on top? See, I would do all of that for a video, but not for a live stream. I'll tell you what to do so that you're able to, you know, make these. Ooh, these muffins smell amazing. They really do. But they are going to bake out. They're starting to dome up now, which is good. Look at the one here. Look at this one. This one's like, you talk too much, Ma. That's what that said. I said, you talk too much, and now I got to embarrass you. Because why does it look like it's about to explode like a volcano? Like, honestly, what are you doing? But I am excited. I'm just letting these cool just a little more. And then we'll do our infamous taste test. Because you already know I'm excited. I want to eat these. I do. I want to eat them. But I also want to let you know that they freeze well. Anything that I make to double as something else. And I make sure that I can freeze them. Okay? So you can freeze it and just grab and go. Just warm it up in the oven prior to you eating it. And you're good to go. No issues there. Now, for food safety regulations, I believe you can probably freeze it for up to 3 months. I do what I want. So, freeze up to 3 months. Okay? Use it within the 3-month time period. Make sure it's 100% cooled before you put it in your freezer safe bag and pop it in the freezer. Okay? All right, we're looking good. You guys are looking like, you know, I was talking too much and now you're trying to show out. So we're getting nice domes. Also, if you make a muffin or you buy a muffin and the muffin's leaning to one side or to the other side, it really has nothing to do with how good or bad the recipe is. It has everything to do with how they scoop it in the actual baking cups. So if you don't scoop it right smack in the center and it's a little off to the side, that's usually how it's going to bake. And you can tell they all don't have the same amount because it shows. You'll literally see it. Because, for example, we have these two. There's a little difference. Wait, there we go. See that? There's a little difference. And then there's also a difference with this one. Is it this way? This way. There we go. Right? So it just depends on how you actually put it in. You know, usually when bakers scoop, we have a container of hot water, right? You scoop, you take your product, you scoop, Dip it in the hot water, scoop. That way you don't have excess batter built into this, because then it actually changes the amount of batter that gets scooped into your product. Okay? I'm just trying to help y'all. I'm just trying to help you. I won't lie to you. Why don't I do it? Because this is for personal consumption. If this was for an order or something where I have to sell, everything has to be precise. They all have to be the same weight. They all have to look the same, uniformity, all of that stuff. Then you have to do these things, right? Me, personal baking, I wing it because it's just me, right? But professionally, yeah, you want to make sure that you don't have excess butter scooped on and everything is even. They all bake at the same time. They all bake in the same pan, whatever, however, boom, right? This is just how you do it. But it's okay. I'm excited because I can't wait to eat it. I really can't. All right. If you're watching, vote for what you want to see tomorrow because it's going to be a good day. Apple muffins are in the lead. Take a break from sweet potato and end with sweet potato. So we have sweet potato, sweet potato, sweet potato, apples, sweet potatoes. But it's okay. All right. So it's at the 5-minute mark. I'm going to rotate. Yes, I'm a little clumsy. I'm also not used to baking in this small little space. I need to get better gloves, ones that are non-slip for this little guy, because it's slippery. Don't ask me why. So I'm just going to rotate it. These ones don't have the sugar sprinkled, the cinnamon sugar sprinkled on top. I personally like the cinnamon sugar sprinkled on the top. And I'll show you the difference in the top. Because you'll still get a firm top. I want to say crunchy, but the crunch comes from the sugar. You'll still get a little bit of crunch. But there's also the way it bakes. Like it looks differently without the sugar. But it's okay. Because you can bake it either way and it's still going to be the same muffin. It's still going to be good. We have sweet potato chunks in there. That was not by design. Because I didn't mash all the sweet potato properly. So we have a little bit of chunks throughout. And I think that's okay. However, I'm a little concerned in how the actual finished product is going to look. Because, like, for example, when you make something with strawberries, especially fresh strawberries or frozen, when you bake it, sometimes the strawberries just disappear. But you see a little wet pocket, right? I'm hoping we're going to turn this down. I'm smelling burning. I'm smelling doneness, but I know it's not done. I'm smelling the doneness. I'm even thinking, like, would cranberries work with sweet potato? Some people might say no. Some people might say, wait a minute, maybe. I don't know. We're going to stop this for a second. It still needs a little more time, but I just don't want, yeah, see, it's already brown. And also too, these pans, like this color pan, they tend to darken really, still needs time. But look at the top. Do you see how it's baked? Compared to this one. You get this one more rustic look, and then this one is a more smooth top, more conventional muffin. Usually that's how muffins are because most people don't sprinkle with sugar. I'm going to rotate this way. We're going to see if you can finish out. I just don't want it to burn. The bottom is already browning. So we just want to make sure that everything is fine. So I'm just going to make sure. Give it just maybe one more minute. Because even if I pull it out now, it'll still be cooking. That's usually what happens. It'll still cook because it's still warm. So I'll give it time. Because you don't want the bottom to be too dark. Because it'll just look burnt. You know? Who wants to eat a burnt muffin? I know I don't. So we're just gonna let it sit in the baking pan for a few minutes. And then we're gonna bake this one out. That's the last one. You guys don't have to see that. You already know how this goes. I'm gonna start the time. And I had only given it the 20 minute, the 18 minutes because of the sweet potato. But essentially, it really might just be like a 10 to 15-minute bake, right? Okay, it's not as hot. But you can clearly see, can you see the difference? Do you see how beautiful they both look? But you can see the difference in it. That would not have been nice. Don't be rude. But yeah, these guys browned a little. Kind of like a little too much for me. So I have to get the timing down for the baking. And, you know, if it's not an oven that you're used to, you have to get used to it. You have to figure it out. So all these different things go into play when it comes to baking. You got to make sure things are sitting right and things are, you know, looking good. Because to me, these guys are all related. And then we have these guys that may be a part of the family, but not so much. So this is, okay, don't be rude. You know that guy that said, don't be suspicious? Yeah, don't be rude. All right. These guys were the first ones that were made. These have a sugar and cinnamon crinkle top, right? If you look at it this way, they somewhat look uniform, somewhat, but you can see them. Okay? These guys were baked without cinnamon sugar on top. And you can see how they look and how they baked. Again, somewhat uniformed, somewhat not. But you can see the sweet potato chunks. You see the raisins. If you had nuts, you would see the nuts as well. Okay? So this is what the product would look like, the end result. I'm just going to get one that's cooled. This guy's cooled. Touching it this way, it feels good. Breaking it in the middle. What's happening? Why are you smoking? Give me 1 second. I'm seeing smoke. It's the sugar. Okay. Nothing major. Okay, so again, we broke it in the middle, but you can see it's soft and spongy, and this is what it looks like. That's the crumb structure that you would have. You have sweet potato in every bite. You have little moisture pockets, honestly, because of the sweet potato, but let's taste it. It's good. And it's also not gummy, which, if it was gummy, I'm going to show you. Do you see right here? That's a wet pocket. But if it was without the baking soda, the entire product will look something like this. Just so you get an idea. But this is delicious. You got sweet potato in every bite. You got raisins or nuts, your preference, in every bite. The crumb structure is tender. Oh my goodness, this is good. Like, I knew it was going to be good. This is really good. This is good. This is really good. Oh my goodness. This right here. This is good. And you know, bakers always say their stuff's good. No. If my stuff's not good, I'll tell you. This is really good. You don't get the overpower tang of sourdough, but you get a nice flavor. The spices that I chose with this works well. And to be honest, dried cranberries would be perfect in this. Perfect. My goodness. Oh my god. This is good. This is really good. Wow. The sweet potato adds such a different texture because it's moist, right? So your muffins can't be dry. Like, no matter what you do, it shouldn't be dry at all. Oh, this is so good. And it's soft. Like, look at that. It's nice and soft. What? Listen. These muffins would go perfect with the cream cheese frosting. Okay? A cream cheese frosting. I'm going to make it perfect with a cream cheese frosting. Also, with a little caramel, just a little with the cream cheese frosting. Perfection. I believe I'm going to make myself some savory sweet potato muffins as a cornbread replacement. Because you know, I want to experiment. Okay. That was delicious. I need a moment. Listen, that's delicious. So whether you put sugar and cinnamon, like a cinnamon sugar on top, or you bake it as is, nothing, it'll still come out good. Bake times vary. Anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to start. And if you need extra time, you can add it. But I say start there at 375 degrees. Halfway through, turn it down to about 360 so it doesn't burn, which is good. If you want to have nuts, I've already said you can add pecans or you can add walnuts to this. I personally think this would be great with dried cranberries instead of raisins. It'll give it another added boost. What? I'm pretty sure some orange in this would be perfection. So cranberry, orange, and sweet potato. That's holiday vibes right there. Okay. You can definitely do that. You can turn it into a saving muffin, which I probably will, and we'll have that experience together. So that, Thanksgiving, you don't have to do regular cornbread. You could do sweet potato cornbread, but with sourdough. Okay. But I think that's it. This was perfect. I'm excited because the recipes are coming together. Things are being done. We have no real major issues. I'm excited about that. If you don't want muffins, you can turn them into a mini loaf. You can make them in a loaf pan. You can do whatever you want to do. Probably if you have a skillet, you can bake it in a skillet. You can do that as well. But today is a good. I'm happy we made sourdough muffins. Okay? Excited and happy. So that is going to be it. Let me look at the polls. It looks like we're going to take a break from sweet potato and we're going to have apple muffins tomorrow. So I'm going to end the poll here. So come back tomorrow for our day number 4 for our sourdough bake-a-thon. It's going to be apple muffins. I haven't decided how I'm going to make them. So until the day comes, I don't know anything. All right. But thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate each and every one of you. That is it for this live stream. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. for day number 4. We're going to be making apple muffins. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll see you back here for another one. Bye.